During the 1989 Flames Kings playoff series, did you realize that it was Ken Baumgartner that you were grabbing, or just a reactionary and going in to help a teammate?
I was just going in to help a teammate, and I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. So, yeah.
Yeah, my dad was saying something about it being referenced in your book.
Yeah.
And he's hoping he gets time to read it sometime soon. So
awesome.
And the note that he left is saying the incident made you one of his all-time favorite players, and you made every kid in southwestern Manitoba stick their chests out a little more. And he wants to express his sincere appreciation for your charity work that you do.
Oh, thank you. Where are you guys from?
Manitoba.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's good.
My dad.
You're going to school where?
I go to university at Canadian Mennonite University in Winnipeg.
Oh, nice. Very good.
All right.
And what are you taking?
I'm a communications and media major.
Oh, nice. Good. Awesome. What year are you in?
I just finished my first year.
Oh, good. Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, and then I just out of the blue in about January decided to, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast.
Good.
Yeah. Then it's taken me to get interviews with Dale Weiss and now with you, which is very exciting for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, good. Awesome.
Yeah. Your career started in 1988-89. What was it like heading into your first NHL game? Were you nervous, excited, or in between?
Geez. Yeah, there's no question that I was excited, but I had trained my whole life, to get to that place, to get to that moment, and I although I was nervous, I knew that I had to make an almost immediate impact. Otherwise, I would have got sent back to the minors. And so, obviously, going to the best team in hockey at that time, made it very easy, to be a part of that group. What an amazing group of people, what an amazing group of guys. It was an amazing time. And when you're playing road hockey in Russell, Manitoba, you dream about playing in the NHL, and then once you get to the NHL, you dream about winning Stanley Cups, and obviously I did both those things in a very short amount of time, and it was an incredible run, and culminated with us winning the cup, which is pretty amazing.
What was that like to win the cup?
Yeah, I think it's every kid in Canada's childhood dream is to win a Stanley Cup, and I was pretty young at the time, and probably didn't realize how important it was, how amazing it was at the time. But I'm certainly, as a 52-year-old man now, and having only won, obviously it means a lot more today, than it did during the time, because I thought, we would have other opportunities, especially with that team and that group to win another one. And, I won it in my first year, and then really didn't get a sniff after that. The closest I got was when I went to Colorado, and we lost to Dallas in Game 7 of the conference finals, and Dallas went on to beat Buffalo, for their one and only Stanley Cup that they had. So if we could have got by Dallas, I think I would have been talking about 2 Stanley Cups. So.
And speaking of your first game that you played, did you score in your first game? How long did it take you to kind of shed that first goal off your back?
Yeah. So let's see. first game, we played against the Quebec Nordiques, who are now the Colorado Avalanche.
Yep.
And we won 4-1. I didn't get any points. And then next game, played against LA at home against Gretzky, and I had 3 assists. And then the next game, we played the Edmonton Oilers, Hockey Night in Canada, and I scored my first 2 NHL goals against Grant Fear. So in my first 3 games, I had 5 points. So
that must be big for you as a player at that time, and then big for the coaches that you're actually starting to show what you're made of right out of the gate, because the game's evolved so much that 18-year-olds can't really come in and make that instant impact almost.
Yeah.
It's like you see it with guys like Hughes and Lafreniere.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a big jump, you know, from the minors to the NHL. It's a huge jump. And, you know, but like I said, you know, I went to a great team. There was lots of great players, and, you know, I fit in perfectly with, you know, with what they were, you know, trying to accomplish. And you know, when I got there, you know, I was just a guy that was supposed to provide energy, provide spark, change momentum. You know, the expectations wasn't that I was going to, you know, produce all these points, but, you know, every game that we did, you know, obviously it was a bonus for sure. So.
All right. So my next question that I have, and that's great to hear how everything kind of has tied in, because I had my third question being about the Stanley Cup win, which you already talked about, which is great that I could tie it in there. But my next question is about you playing for Team Canada in the World Junior in 1987 with the famous incident, the punch up in Piestany.
Yeah.
Could you walk me through the incident and what was going through your mind when that happened?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, that the game at that time was still, you know, pretty robust. You know, we did brawl the Russians at the World Junior, but what people don't understand was every night in junior, like that was happening every night. There was a line brawl or bench clearing brawl or whatever, right? And so it wasn't out of the ordinary for any of us that were involved. And you know, the scenario was that the Russians had their worst World Junior tournament ever. And, you know, back then, the tournament was completely different than it is now. You know, back then it was just a round robin. You played every team once, and the team with the best record, you know, won the gold medal. And so the Russians and us met in the final game. The Russians could finish no higher than 6th place, whether they beat us or not. And we had to beat them by 5 goals in order to win the gold medal. And we were well on our way to accomplishing that fact when halfway through the game, you know, one of our guys and one of their guys got into a bit of a shouting match, and then they started throwing punches, and then, you know, and then all hell broke loose. And basically we got kicked out of the tournament.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, what happened the following year was, you know, even more significant, because we went right into Moscow. We went into Russia, and, you know, we basically stole the gold medal right in their own backyard. And they had a line of Fedorov, McGillney, and Bure was their number 1 line. And we beat them 3-2 in the same rink that Paul Henderson scored the goal in 1972 that sort of kicked off this whole Canada-Russia rivalry. And yeah, so I don't really think too much about the brawl. I think more about, how 20 kids went into communist Soviet Union and, won the gold medal. And, at that time I think it was only Canada's third gold medal that they had won at the World Juniors. So, and that team was stacked. We had 12 first round draft picks.
Yeah.
On that team, and Joe Sakic was our fourth line centerman on that team. So,
that says something about the team then, when you have so much depth absolutely.
There. Yeah. It was an incredible experience, and it's probably one of my most favorite things that I've won. Because it was, basically the first time that I'd ever won at that high of a level, and that feeling of standing on the blue line and they're playing your song, and it was pretty cool.
How many gold medals did you win?
Well, I won one in the World Junior, won at the Canada Cup, won a silver medal at the World Championships, and sort of topped it all off with winning the Olympic gold medal in 2002 in Salt Lake. So, yeah.
So it's a little bit of decoration from your tournaments for Canada.
Yeah, there's a few. And to me, I really enjoy the process of winning more than the trinkets that you get at the end of it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the process of winning. That's what counts. That's what matters. That's what really stuck with me more than anything else. I barely look at my gold medal. I barely look at my rings and all that stuff. It's more about the experience for me.
And speaking of which, and this might tie into what I'm about to ask, but is there a favorite memory and or a story you'd like to share from your playing career, either on or off the ice?
Well, my whole entire life, I was told that I was too small and that I would never make it. And so, the simple fact that for 15 years, I got to do something that I absolutely love to do, and they actually paid me to do that. Because I wasn't supposed to play one game in the National Hockey League, and I played more than, I think including playoffs, over 1,100 games. And then internationally, I played for Canada 10 times in my career. And so, the simple fact that the only person that believed that they could make it was me. And I always faced, the whole size thing. And, I was able to overcome that and have an amazing career and experienced all kinds of amazing winning situations, along the way, and played with I played with the greatest players in the game, Messier, Gretzky, Lemieux, Sakic, Yzerman, and the list goes on, Lindros, the list goes on and on and on. And so, to me, those are the things that I remember the most.
Is playing against a guy like Lemieux or Gretzky, how did you go into a game like that?
You got to bring your best, man.
Yeah.
When you're playing against those guys, for sure. Oh yeah, they were ultra super talented guys, and if you had a bad night, it would reflect on your plus minus at the end of the game. So, but yeah, you want to play against the best guys, right? You want to put yourself up against the best players in the game, and I always loved the challenge, and and it was an opportunity for me to get better too, right? And I loved all those opportunities, and when Wayne Gretzky says to you that you're the guy that he hated to play against the most, that you're doing a good job if you can get him to, dislike you. So
And get him a little rattled heading into the next game or something.
that's right. I was in his kitchen.
Yeah. All right. And straying away from hockey is, I saw you play a little bit of baseball for the Calgary Vipers. Like, what was that like for you?
Well, I think baseball is my first love of sport. I was actually a better baseball player than I was a hockey player. And, in Manitoba, baseball was pretty big in youth sports. So, I played tons and tons of baseball as a kid. And, we had a lot of fun. And so I'd started a clothing company, and the local team here in Calgary, I'd approached them about making some of their merchandise for them, and then the conversation got to baseball, and the PR and marketing guy was like, do you want to play a couple games with us? And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And so I spent a whole week leading up to the weekend, shagging balls, taking batting practice, all that stuff. And then I got into a double header. I think it was on the Saturday. And, my first at bat, I got a base hit up the middle. And it was so much fun to spend a week sort of living the life of a, professional baseball player. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that was your clothing brand, Fake, I think it was named.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was an enjoyable week, and it was kind of cool to to hang around a bunch of professional baseball players for a week, and see how they lived, how they practiced, and it was great.
Yeah, that's like, when I was looking up all this stuff for kind of forming my questions, I saw that you did some baseball. I was like, that's neat. Like, I'm gonna ask him about that.
It's I actually got to take batting practice when I was in New York with the New York Mets at the old Shea Stadium, which was kind of cool. And I almost hit one out of the ballpark. So that was a fun experience.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw is you're a country music artist, and one of your projects you've had was for Madden NFL 18. What inspired you to start writing music?
Well, I'm I'm a Métis person, and if you know anything about Métis people, music is part of our DNA, and so I grew up in a very musical family, and I always sang as a as a little guy. My dad used to take us to talent shows, all over the place and sing, and so music was always a part of my life, and it was and so after I wrote my book in 2009, I had a friend in the music industry who lives in Winnipeg, and our dads used to play music together before we were even born, and so I called him up and I said, hey, I need to stroke something off my bucket list. Would you be interested in writing a song with me? He said, yeah, absolutely. So I went to Winnipeg and wrote a song, and it turned out way better than I had expected. And so I just kept going back to Winnipeg and writing more stuff. And then I had another friend here in Calgary who was also in the music industry, and him and I got together and started writing. And so we wrote about 30 songs for the album. We picked the 10 best songs and put them on a CD, and we've done a little bit of touring, and it's been awesome. And every year I go to Mario Lemieux's fantasy camp in Pittsburgh to help him out with his charity. And I met a kid there who builds the Madden football game. And he was sitting right beside me in the dressing room. And so we became buddies, exchanged numbers and whatnot. And then out of the blue, he texts me and says, "Hey, I've been listening to your music. I love your music. You know, would you be interested in writing a song for, you know, the Madden football game?" And I'm like, "Wow, sure. Yeah." So he sent, you know, sort of the parameters of the song, and I went to Winnipeg, and you know, we wrote a song called "Long Shot" that is now on the 2018 Madden football game.
Yeah. And what instrument do you play?
I don't play instruments. I write and I sing all the songs. Yeah.
See, I originally went to university for music.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I was asking. It's like, I just kind of saw that as another neat thing. I was like, oh, gotta ask him about this.
Yeah, I've done lots of good stuff. So.
And anyways, before we wrap things up, could you tell me about your foundation and the work you do? I feel like it's important to kind of get it in here.
Yeah. Well, you know, as we all know, you know, mental illness is, you know, probably the biggest epidemic we have on the planet. It's not COVID-19. It's actually, you know, mental health. And, you know, having struggled for many years with my own mental illness. And then, you know, obviously I wrote my book and talked about my sexual abuse and all that stuff. And really, you know, there weren't many groups that were doing anything to help in the sexual abuse space. And so we created the Breaking Free Foundation, you know, several years ago. and we support, you know, all trauma survivors on the planet. And, you know, it's been an amazing journey, and, you know, the ability to help and you know, provide inspiration for people who've also, you know, had that experience. And like I said, there's not a lot of help out there for survivors of sexual abuse. So, you know, we created the Breaking Free Foundation, and, you know, it's been great.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of have it. I wanted it at the end so you can kind of speak, and people that are listening could have an idea what you do for your foundation and all that. And like I saw on your website when I filled the thing out to have you on, but I feel like asking you in person was the best way to do it. And you getting to help people that might just want to chat about it is it's very good work that you do. And Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on. I enjoyed talking to you. Take care, Theo.
All right, my friend. Thanks so